I've been turning over a possibility in my mind, one that doesn't get much airtime in the media circus. What if Trump's resistance to launching a full-scale war against Iran isn't a sign of principled restraint or grand strategy, but simply political survival? What if he's dodging bullets not from Tehran but from within his own base? Zionist hardliners and evangelical Christians, the twin engines of militant American support for Israel, have been gunning for war. Not sanctions, not covert ops, war. And Trump, ever the political animal, knows their wrath is lethal. But he also knows war with Iran isn't a video game. This theory gained traction for me when I watched the backlash unfold against Congressman Pete Hegseth. He voted against military action in Iran, that's all. And the reaction? Pure hysteria. The kind that isn't about defending Israel per se, but about using American blood and treasure to do Israel's dirty work. Let's be clear. Launching an attack on Iran wouldn't be some clean surgical strike. It would drag the United States into a catastrophic quagmire, and Trump, for all his bluster, seems to know it. He's not stupid. His administration might be chaotic, his advisors might be contradicting each other daily, but he understands that bombing Tehran is not the same as tweeting about it. Some argue Trump wants a deal, maybe not because he believes in diplomacy, but because he knows the alternative is worse. Rumors swirl about U.S. interest in rebuilding parts of Iran's energy sector, even offering nuclear reactors. But American nuclear tech is outdated, overpriced, and years behind China's innovations. Still, it's cheaper than war. But at home, it's not so simple. The political cost of appearing soft on Iran, or on Israel, is enormous. And that's why Trump dodges. He deflects, changes the subject. Ask him about Ukraine, and he pivots to Biden, the Taliban, or how he rebuilt the military. Ukraine and beyond. The situation in Ukraine has far-reaching implications, affecting not just the region but the entire global order. The stakes are incredibly high and the consequences are, well, profound. And speaking of Ukraine, what a mess. Zelensky continues to avoid sealing any long-term security agreement with the United States despite countless promises. Why? Possibly because Ukraine has already handed over its mineral rights, its sovereignty, and its future to various Western interests. There's nothing left to trade, only illusions. Meanwhile, the people pushing for war against Iran think it's going to be quick. Bombs drop, regime collapses, the Shah returns, and the streets of Tehran erupt with gratitude. But this isn't 1953. Iran isn't waiting to be liberated, and anyone at the Pentagon worth their clearance knows it. Remember Yemen? The same people now itching to invade Iran thought Afghanistan would be easy too. Yemen's Ansarallah is stronger than the Taliban ever was. Putting US boots on that ground would be suicide. Trump may play the fool, but his Pentagon advisors aren't blind. They know what a war with Iran would really mean. There's a quiet, growing split inside the American power structure. On one side, those who want to strike deals and avoid new wars. On the other, the messianic fanatics who still dream of a unipolar empire enforced by American bombs. This is not just a political divide, it's an existential one. Take Europe. Once a leader in diplomacy and economic innovation, it's turning into a continent-wide theme park. Europe invested hundreds of billions into renewables, and now, absurdly, some officials suggest dimming the sun to fight climate change. It's as if the inmates are running the asylum. Europe, increasingly irrelevant on the world stage, is betting its future on becoming a giant tourist resort. Bartenders and chefs might soon be its most competitive exports. And now, in a last gasp of relevance, it's pouring trillions into military industries to defend itself in a conflict that could wipe out its economy entirely. The elite in Brussels and Berlin are marching the continent toward another war it can't afford. Back to 1917, back to 1945. And in Romania, where the establishment thought it had everything under control, resistance is starting to crack the edifice. Europe may be on the road to disintegration. Slowly, yes, but inevitably. Russia's game is different. They're playing the long war. They've built relationships not with the EU as a bloc but bilaterally. Poland, France, Germany, one by one. And they're waiting. Biding time. In Ukraine, Russian troops are advancing. Ceasefires are rejected or used as cover to regroup. Strategic patience. All while pro-Russian Ukrainians, embedded and informed, prepare to move when the time is right. And Trump? He hints at regime change in Kiev being imminent. that might not be bluster. Meanwhile, Western media attacks Trump relentlessly, not just in the United States, but across Europe. The narrative Trump is chaos. Trump is appeasement. Trump is Putin's puppet. But consider this. Trump picked up the phone and called Vladimir Putin. That call wasn't just symbolic. Soon after, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov gave a 45-minute interview to American audiences. That had been unthinkable since Putin first came to power. And why now? Because the game is changing. Trump's critics accuse him of undermining the post-World War II order, but maybe that's the point. That order, created to entrench U.S. dominance, now works against America's long-term interests. At least that's how Trump and his inner circle increasingly see it. Multipolar integration is the buzzword. A global system not enforced by a single empire but balanced between regional powers. It's what Russia, China, and others have been building. Trump, in his own erratic way, wants in, on America's terms. The empires fight and China's advance, an intricate dance of power and influence. For over a century, the U.S. has wielded its might across the globe, shaping economies, toppling regimes, and projecting its dominance. Yet, as China rises, the dynamics are shifting. It's no longer just about military strength, it's about economic clout, technological prowess, and strategic alliances. The U.S. finds itself in a complex struggle to maintain its supremacy, while China steadily advances, reshaping the global order in its favor. But the empire doesn't go quietly. The vested interests, the globalists, the war profiteers, the think tanks and media barons, they all want to maintain the U.S. as global enforcer, as a hammer, swinging wherever profits are to be protected, and that includes Ukraine. Beneath the surface, Washington's promises to Kiev aren't about freedom or democracy. They're about securing extraction rights, resource deals, Western domination. That's why a security guarantee from the U.S. is so vital to Zelensky and his backers. It's the muscle behind the plunder. But that guarantee also means risking nuclear war with Russia, and Trump knows it. Through back channels, he's reportedly exploring deals with Russia because facts are facts. Most of Ukraine's natural wealth, its gas, its coal, its industrial base, is in the Donbas, already under Russian control. Fighting to reclaim it is a fantasy, but acknowledging that publicly, political suicide? So Trump plays the long game, or tries to. But within his administration there's confusion, contradiction, sabotage. On immigration, on Iran, on everything. His own aides feed him distorted intelligence. The media seizes on every contradiction. And the image that emerges is one of chaos, even when there's method behind it. The empire fights dirty. As Ukraine wobbles, terror attacks spike across the region, in Iran, in Kashmir, and Baluchistan. The old playbook: destabilize, fragment, intervene. Lure the U.S. in as savior, creditor, and arms dealer. But the world is changing faster than the empire can adapt. China's advancing not just in artificial intelligence and chips, but in energy infrastructure. Their thorium nuclear power projects might soon fuel a new technological leap. Why? Because Beijing plans decades ahead. America's private capital thinks in quarters. And that's the United States' Achilles heel. You can invent the world's best AI, but if your grid can't power it, or your regulators can't coordinate infrastructure development, your competitors win. China's state-driven model may have flaws, but in this race, it's gaining ground. Trump seems to understand that, which may explain his pivot toward diplomacy with Russia and his reluctance toward another Middle Eastern war. But if he fails, if the fanatics win, then we're staring down the barrel of a war that could end life as we know it. And not because it has to happen, but because the empire would rather burn the world than lose control of it. If you found this analysis valuable, help us keep the conversation going. Like the video, subscribe for more unfiltered geopolitical breakdowns, and drop a comment with your thoughts. Do you think Trump is trying to end the empire, or just trying to survive it? Let's talk about it.